Every offseason, fantasy football fiends are in search of one thing: league-winning lottery tickets, the Pukas, the Chirons, the tanks of fantasy football season. And on today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we have just that. We have 9 league-winning sleepers in fantasy football this year.
Let's be careful with that league win.
We're couching it.
Let's be careful with that league.
They're not going to click on it. They're not going to click on it if it doesn't say
we're
league winning
getting
Keegan.
cooked. We're getting cooked.
Yeah, as you guys can tell, we're exhausted. So this is going to be a fun episode. I'm your host, Shaun, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, my good friends, my fellow knowers of ball, Aidan and Keegan. Keegs, fresh cut. How are we feeling?
Yeah, haircut on. The Zen's kind of fighting me back right now, so I'm just ready to rip. Talk about some valuable fantasy sleepers here.
Would you say the Zen is
fighting
fighting you back?
Zen is fighting me back right now.
If Keegan has to go throw up in the middle of the episode, it's because
it's
because the 8 millies we're talking to him.
We're not cutting that out.
Okay, he's ready to lock in. My man's ready. Aidan, you went to Nashville for a fantasy football draft this weekend. How are you feeling?
I'm still battling. It
Battling.
feels like I'm still on the way down. It takes it out of you, man. Each passing year it's harder, man. But
guy goes to Broadway once and he's fighting a 2-day hangover.
Yeah, no, I'm not built different anymore. It's just there's no way around it.
Not built Ford tough anymore.
Not at all. Built like a hybrid.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Oh man. Okay. The format, he's built like a Cybertruck. The format for today's episode is pretty straightforward. We each have 3 sleepers. We've got some running backs, we got some receivers, we got a tight end, we got a QB. So we're keeping it spicy for you. But before we dive into things, one, over the past week, our channel blew up a little bit. It's kind of crazy. We picked up like 700 subscribers. We had over 40K views. But the cherry on top was all the incredibly nice things you guys said in the comments for the most part.
Incredibly nice things.
It got a little meaner as the week went along, but the first batch of comments were really nice. Like it was really like some amazing stuff. So like seriously, thank you so much for supporting us. We're relatively new to all of this, and it is a labor of love to do this. So it's awesome to see that what we're putting out is resonating with all of you. And it meant the world to us that you enjoy it, and you told us that you enjoyed it. So thank you, seriously, for your guys' support. And second, Keegan, we have some first-time viewers, I'm assuming. What should the first-time viewers do?
The first-time viewers, all I ask is that you sit down and watch the video and make an educated decision on whether you want to be along with the mean team. And if you hang out for a little bit, maybe we earn your sub, maybe we earn a like, hopefully we earn a comment, but come join the ride. We pander, we ask for subs, but all I ask today of you listeners that are new is watch the video. Just watch, hang out a little bit, make your own decision.
I feel like I'm on Shark Tank.
Yeah, seriously. I love that. He didn't even ask for the sub. He said, watch 10 minutes, pause it at the 10-minute mark. If you're vibing, hit the subscribe button. That's innovative. That's why I passed it over to Keegan Thompson to do stuff like that. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Keegan again because we're going to start with Keegan. Keegan, what do you have to share with the class today? Who's your first sleeper that you want the mean team to target at the end of fantasy football drafts?
Today, we're going to talk about a Washington Huskies wide receiver, not Rome Odunze, not Jalen Polk, but Jalen McMillan. What do we know about Jalen McMillan already heading into the season that makes me eye him as a late round draft pick right now? He's already locked up the wide receiver 3 role for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's only run 16 preseason routes, but he's put up pretty elite per route data on that steady drumbeat of training camp praise as well from the Bucs staff and all the people in the org. 37.5% targets per route run rate, 3.56 yards per route run. Small sample again, but still very promising. Chris Godwin moving to the slot for the 2024 season. That means McMillan's going to be the other outside receiver outside of Mike Evans. Last year, this is important. Last year, the Buccaneers used 11 personnel at the 7th highest rate. So for the people who don't know 11 personnel, essentially 3 wide receivers on the field. This is going to change due to coaching change. Dave Canales is no longer there. But Cohen coming from the Sean McVay tree is a good sign for continued usage in 11 personnel. We might even see more 11 personnel from the Buccaneers. Going back to when I talked about McMillan too, when we were doing our draft prep, I had been the McMillan side of like McMillan versus Polk. I think even though he lined up in the slot for most of his routes in Washington, I thought he was a little bit better than Polk and more an NFL wide receiver that could contribute right off the bat. Was banged up a little bit, but when he was healthy, he outproduced Polk by a very large margin. I think he's a really good athlete, 4.47 speed. He's got a 37 vertical. Shuttle's good, 4.18 seconds. And honestly, his breakout score by JJ Zacharyason's model was better than Polk's as well. He had a best yards per team pass attempt. Basically identical to Polk in yards per route run rates. But like I said, the injuries in 2023 kind of derailed some of that season. But I really like the talent. I like the prospect profile. I like that they're going to pass the ball a lot again in Tampa Bay. Knowing that Godwin's going to be their primary slot receiver, I think that gives Jalen McMillan some very interesting fantasy outlook, especially he gets ramped up. We know rookies get better as the season goes on. Feels like a really easy click late round draft pick.
Dude, he went off as a 21-year-old, as a junior. Comes back, is injured, and then Jalen Polk kind of supplants him. Like, it was McMillan was the wide receiver too. He like kind of put up the same numbers that Rome did. It's kind of wild. And then Polk comes in and Polk has a great year. So McMillan kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit, but all the advanced metrics are super kind to McMillan. The steady drumbeat has been like deafening. Like, has there been a negative word that's come out of Tampa? Like, Todd Bowles does not talk up any rookies. He's like kind of a hard ass, and he's been pretty steadfast in his praise of Jalen McMillions.
Even if I didn't like include the stats, I could just go off positive drumbeat from training camp and practices and the preseason game I've seen. Like, I feel like there's very few wide receivers late in the drafts that I could take a stab on that are unknown, because a lot of it is just like veterans or people we've seen before. They're just like, yeah, he'll be a good roster spot. But Jalen McMillan actually feels like somebody who could be rostered. You hold on to him, and then boom. Let's say Godwin goes down, or maybe Evans misses a game. Like, McMillan's going to have an opportunity to put up some good numbers in this offense.
Aidan, you've been kind of a McMillan hater to some extent. Have you seen the light?
No. I've been firmly in the camp that McMillan would not be taking Chris Godwin's lunch.
I was a little too far on that. Okay, I was too far, but no, I think the offseason prospect.
I think the offseason buzz has been really good, like the last month or so. It seems pretty clear that he has passed Trey Palmer on the depth chart, which is encouraging. You probably needed an injury, like Keegan mentioned, for this to pop, at least to be like a viable like redraft guy. I think if you're still drafting best ball teams right now, like, you could do way worse towards the end of some of your drafts with Jalen McMillan. But I think if you're rolling out Jalen McMillan early on in the season in your redraft leagues, you're a braver man than I, because it's probably like big plays, not a ton of, 2 wide sets that he's going to be in. But no, I think he's like for sure trending in the right direction. But hey, man, like, we're talking late round or like undrafted sleepers. So again, you do way worse.
Bench stash for McMillan, but he's a really good last pick of the draft. Like, I had I got John Brooks on the squad, throw him on the IR, picked up McMillan. It's pretty sweet.
No. That's a great option.
That was my route with McMillan. Moving on to our next guy here. It's another rookie. He had a crazy transformation in one short week. Kimani Vidal went from being cut to not even playing in the last preseason game because he's going to have a role, right? When you get iced in the last preseason game, it means, this guy is like, we don't want him to get hurt. He's going to have a role. The beat has been totally off on this the entire time. And all ball knowers know that Kimani Vidal is a goddamn problem. Man is built like a fire hydrant. His stats were nuts. He was PFF's 6th best graded running back in 2023. He was like number 2 in the country in missed tackles forced. I think he was 2 in the country in just overall rush yards. He was ultra productive out of a small school in Troy. He's a 6th round pick. We thought he'd go a little bit earlier, but now he's stepping into a Chargers offense that is the ghost of Gus Edwards in front of him and perennially hurt and angry J.K. Dobbins. So, I mean, this is kind of the best run out imaginable for Vidal. I don't think you're playing him right away. I would not be shocked if he has a small role out of the gates because this will be a firm running back by committee. But towards the end of the season, Vidal could easily be the starting running back in a super high volume and efficient rushing attack behind an incredible offensive line. I think he's like the ideal last pick in the draft. Like, again, he finished second in the country in rush yards, yards after contact, and missed tackles forced. Guy's a beast. And this little blurb by Fantasy Pros is wrong. He is the RB3. He didn't play in the preseason. Do your job, Fantasy Pros. Like, what are you doing here? He's not a special teamer. Jarrett Patterson's a special teamer. Like, come on. He is the RB3. He would have played in the preseason if he wasn't. Have you guys come around on Vidal?
Yeah, like the rumors that he was like a potential cut candidate were just like, like someone should be fired. Like they were so out of nowhere. Absolutely wrong. So no, I think we've all been, decently high on this guy, super productive in college. Really no established guy in that offense too. Like, why would we not take a shot on a 22-year-old, who just, wasn't the biggest conference in college, but, he produced there. So, I like Vidal.
I don't have any thoughts. I might have been the one in the group chat to send the Chargers Athletic article about potential cut candidates after week 1 of the preseason. But hey,
I didn't buy that.
You win some, you lose some. The only concern I have with Vidal is like the path to playing time with him. Like for somebody like McMillan, I know he's going to be on the field at least in some capacity. And like Gus Edwards is Gus Edwards. Like he might stumble into 10 touchdowns this year. J.K. Dobbins might just play the entire year. I don't know. I know he's so injury prone, but the good bull case for did I do that right? Bull bear case. What's the right?
You did.
The bull case here is
good.
The way their offensive line is moving this year is diffy. Harbaugh is going to have the Chargers running the fuck out of the ball this year, and if Vidal gets in on that action, it could be pretty wheels up.
I am with you. But the both guys in front of him are injury prone. Like Gus Edwards already had a knee operation this offseason. J.K. Dobbins is always hurt. So
it's sad. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that part.
Dobbins is a fine stash too, honestly, later in drafts, but I'd rather take the unknown rookie at this point. And if he doesn't play, just cut him. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I just think he's like the perfect guy to take at the end of drafts. Moving on to our next guy here. Aidan, your first sleeper. Is this a hashtag former bias?
Former still biased. Still biased.
Still biased. Okay.
Yeah. We're putting a man on the moon with Darnell Mooney. And it feels good to say his name again. I just learned. I was looking into him yesterday. I just realized today he's wearing number 1. So that, makes my case even stronger. Just, running around blazing speed number 1. But there's actually a lot to like here. He's the unquestioned wide receiver 2 in that offense now. With Rondale Moore getting hurt, like there's quite literally no one else in that offense. They're looking at a wide receiver 3 of what Ray McLeod right now.
Yes.
Kaderell Hodge. It's beyond it's beyond so ugly behind Darnell Mooney. This is a guy that just over 2 years ago was wide receiver 23 in fantasy. Dealt with injuries in 2022, and then absolutely took the back seat to DJ Moore last year. But that was a weird offense. Him and Justin Fields were never on the same page. This guy's still just 26 years old. Like Darnell Mooney is, by no means on his way out of the NFL. And you look at Kirk Cousins, like he pretty routinely, supported 2 top 30 wide receivers in Minnesota. Justin Jefferson was, a far bigger talent than Drake London is. But who's to say that, Kirk Cousins can't support 2 top 30 wide receivers again. I know we've got Kyle Pitts in there too, but I think there's a lot to like here. Kyle Pitts and Drake London are both super unknown. Darnell Mooney's had a better season than both of them so far in the NFL, and is only about a year.
That's crazy. Say that one more time. I want you to say that one more time out loud.
He's had a better season than both of them. Granted, Kyle Pitts is a tight end, but hey, he's only about like 2 years older than both of them, and he's kind of done it already. So. I don't know. I think he's super cheap. You're looking at wide receiver 65, maybe not even getting drafted in your leagues, depending on how many teams you got. So I don't know, man. I think there's a lot to like here with Darnell Mooney. There's again, there's no one else behind him. There's 3 people in that passing offense. Add in Bijan if we want to do that too. But no, the Moonman's done it, man.
Wow, he really has he's cleared Drake London's best season by 50 points.
Yes.
Wow.
People forget, man.
People forget.
That's crazy.
No, we're putting a man back on the moon. I think the first 2 guys we talked about, there's gonna be a slow path. Being honest, Darnell Mooney's gonna be out there in 2 wideout sets week 1.
Right away. That's the
this
cool
is a
thing
guy
about
that
Mooney. He will be on the field immediately.
He could be a week 1 waiver target right away. He could come out and put up 80 yards and a touchdown. That's not out of the realm of possibilities whatsoever. So pretty excited to talk about my guy Darnell again. Hoping for good things there.
Darnell Mooney scored way more points in his first 2 seasons than Drake London did.
It's true. It's true.
That's sickening. Oh man, how is that even possible? Oh jeez. Keegan, do you have anything to say on the Moon Man? Are you ready to share your second sleeper?
No, I'm ready to go to my second sleeper. Was the moon landing fake? I don't know. Let's see if Darnell Mooney catches a touchdown in week 1.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's time. We got to talk about Ray Davis as a late round flyer, especially if you're like me and you go pretty light in your running back room. What we know about Ray Davis right now, coming to the NFL, is 3 down workload, size and strength, good contact balance. He's a finisher as a ball carrier. He's got a lot of miles on his career. Played, pretty heavily in college, but junior year or 2022 Vanderbilt, 86.63 rushing yards a game. Senior year at Kentucky, almost 1,200 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, 29 receptions for 317 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. I mean, the guy was ultra productive. He is an older prospect, but what I like about Ray Davis is just based off his size and running back profile alone, he could be a day 1 goal line day 1 goal line vulture running back. Holy shit.
Got it.
He could take a lot of those opportunities away from James Cook. I mean, let's not discount James Cook as a good running back because I think he is, but Buffalo's made it pretty clear that they don't want James Cook getting goal line touches. He's just too small. I don't think he's a good goal line running back. Last year, James Cook ranked 27th in red zone carries per game. 27th. And they're supposed to be their RB1. Here's some other stats for you that just shocked me. I pulled these from 4for4. Josh Allen had 46.7% of the team's inside the 10 rushing attempt share and 58.3% of the team's inside the 5 rushing share for the Bills. You might hear that and be like, okay, Keegan, they're just going to do that again. But look, they brought in Ray Davis, but you know what they did before that? They tried to bring in Latavius Murray. They tried to bring in Damien Harris. It's very apparent that the Bills do not want to run their star quarterback at the goal line as much as they have. They have tried to solve this problem before with the likes of Damien Harris and Latavius Murray. So now they do it again, and they draft Ray Davis, who has the size to be a goal line back, but also can be a very capable change of pace back, has 3 down workload, like I mentioned, and he's just so much bigger than James Cook. I think legit week 1, if he scored a touchdown, I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, yeah. First of all, look at Ray Davis's eyes. This is throwing me for a loop. My man's got piercing blue eyes. What is going on? Good for Ray Davis. That's amazing. And then second here, super weird career. As a 20-year-old, has a true breakout at Temple. Goes for 936 yards and 8 touchdowns. Then basically does nothing his sophomore and junior year. Vanderbilt on a terrible offense has a good year, and then goes to Kentucky as a 24-year-old and is a super senior, COVID senior, right? And just crushes it. Really solid 5th year. Has a really good showing at the Senior Bowl. Lands in a good offense. He's a good player. He's an older prospect, but Aidan, you were super high on him too, right?
Yeah, dude. I remember watching his game against Florida responsibly. 26 carries, 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was like, this guy, he might win the Heisman. It was electric. He went pretty nuts. The age as a running back is, definitely a bit of a factor. He's 24 already. He's going to be turning 25 this fall. But no, I like him here. I'd like to think that the Bills are going to stop running Josh Allen within the 5 and the 10, but I don't think he's going to let them. So we'll see. Like Josh Allen just goes full Josh Allen, but I think he's far more capable than the likes of Damian Harris and Latavius Murray. God, I want to forget his name so bad. So we'll see. I like this.
Derek
like
Tate of Pro Football Network said this about Ray Davis: strong finisher as a ball carrier, wakes up in the morning and chooses violence when he decides to take the fight to the oncoming defender. Like, that's what the Bills need at the goal line. They've tried to solve for this before. And sure, Josh might not let them, but at some point they're going to have to step in. They got to take some of that risk away from Josh Allen. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I do think if they're looking at who to put out there for a goal line score situation, it's either Josh or it's Ray Davis. I think they're pretty clear that they don't want James Cook doing that.
Well, do you think we're galaxy braining James Cook? He was really good last year. Like, we haven't talked about him at all. Like,
and we all loved him too.
And we all loved him last year. I don't. And I'm not disagreeing with Keegan at all. I'm just throwing this out there. Like, are we missing James Cook this year? Is he just about to go off? Like,
I think at PPR James Cook is a fine pick, but in half PPR, if you were playing if you're one of the few that play standard leagues still, I'm just not touching that profile, because you were already worried that Josh Allen was going to take rushing touchdowns away from him. Now you got to worry about Ray Davis too. So
we need touchdowns from Jimbo, and the touchdowns just don't seem to be there unless he breaks them. So we'll see.
All right, boys. You guys seen any Broadway shows recently?
No, not a Broadway guy myself.
Because I've got 3 tickets to the Book of Mormon. Because my
oh my God, what's wrong with him?
My second sleeper is none other than Taysom Hill, baby. The everyman's football player. This is a nasty one. This is a nasty 15th round, 16th round pick in fantasy drafts. But his preseason usage, guys, was nuts. This is from Scott Barrett. He had a 71% snap rate with the starters, which clears tight ends because he's tight end eligible. So if you get a tight end that goes over 70% of the snaps, that's awesome. That means a tight end you can like. He had 2 snaps out wide. He had 2 snaps in the slot. He had 8 snaps at tight end, and he had 9 snaps in the backfield. Dennis Allen, who hates most of his players, cannot stop talking about how much he loves him. Every beat reporter from since April has said consistently Taysom's going to have a huge role in this offense. Considering that Alvin Kamara is an ineffective rusher at this point in his career, and that Kendre Miller is a non-factor, there's a non-zero chance that this dude is just straight up not on the team this year. It's looking like Taysom Hill is going to be a tight end who's also their goal line rusher. And last season, I had to look this up because I couldn't believe it. He had as many 15-plus point fantasy games and half-point PPR as Trey McBride had last year.
Fuck.
In half-point. He's free at the end of drafts, guys. If he stinks, you can just cut him. But however, he could be a fantasy football cheat code this season if he genuinely has this red zone goal line role and he's catching passes. It's
I'm
nasty.
firmly in the boat that Taysom Hill should not be allowed to be in fantasy football at this point.
Yeah, how do we get rid of him? How do we get rid of him?
I don't have anything against the guy, but I think in fantasy football, he should be not available in drafts. He should be taken out of all league formats, because until they make a position specifically for what Taysom Hill is,
just make him play QB. You can make him play QB, and let's call it a day.
He had 33 receptions last year, career high. He probably gets more. Guys, he was the tight end 12 last year. He was the tight end 9 in 2022, and he was the tight end 10 in 2020. This is fucked up.
Getting Taysom really sucks. Because it's never one touchdown. It's always multi-touchdown games, and it's here it comes again, and then 7 comes
run one,
out.
pass one, catch one. He's in your tight end slot. It's cheese.
Look at his Sims. It's just only him.
There's nobody like him, dude.
It's just literally him. Oh man, that's crazy.
Jordan Matthews down there. Jesus, our favorite tight end.
He's a tight
Another
end.
one.
Jordan Matthews. It's nasty. It's nasty work, mean team. But I'm telling you, if for some reason you don't get a tight end and you just want to kick the can down the road, Taysom's the perfect guy. Go get Noah Fant, pair him with Taysom Hill. Just see what happens. Get weird.
Yeah, that's our guy Jay Lee's favorite tight end. He won't quit him. He won't quit him.
All right, Aidan. Who is your second sleeper you got here?
We are going back to the lovely state of Florida. We're going back to Tampa Bay, as a matter of fact. I'm visiting Keegan there.
Cool.
We're going Bucky Irving, Mr. Marquise Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Government name, dude. You're like the commenters calling you by your government name.
By the way, it took me like 5 minutes to find Ray Davis. His name's Ramon Davis. RE''MAHN.
I love that.
I digress.
So I like Bucky Irving for two reasons. I think one, dude was super productive at Oregon the last 2 years. I know some people will probably argue like, hey, they kind of play a gimmicky offense. I don't really care. He was, 1,000+ yard rusher, 6 yards a carry. Second year, almost doubled his receptions. The yards per catch absolutely went down, but this is a guy that seemingly just got better and better. Early declare guy too, 22 years old, and going into an offense with like, as crazy as it is to say, like there's not a ton of competition. You look at Rashod White as like a pure rusher last year, and like he was one of the worst like rushers of the football in the NFL. So there were 49 running backs that rushed for over 100 carries. Where do you think he ranked in terms of yards per carry out of those 48?
Guys?
Oh yeah, dead last.
10th worst. It wasn't that bad. I thought he was going to be pretty firmly at the bottom.
Selling me back. I'm back in.
Yeah, Shaun's back on the Sade.
For the me team, just so you know, I was like all in on Rashod White last year, and it was just the best print fest ever. But we all know it was a sham. But I digress.
It was a total sham, dude. Like if he wasn't booed by what was it? How many was it? 64 receptions? Man, like. The Dave Canales offense was just like check down. So I like Bucky. Like if Rashod White for whatever reason like got hurt or is just like complete dust again out of the gate, I think Bucky's going to kind of play regardless as like a change of pace third down guy. But I think there's a world where like he starts cutting into Rashod White's role pretty early in the season if that offense stinks. So I like it. Again, super cheap. ADP 204. Probably not getting drafted. So he could end up on our waivers episodes very early.
You're not worried about Shaun Tucker, dude?
No. Not worried about Shaun Tucker.
Dynasty Bros.
No way. I'm
they
getting off
Shaun Tucker. They
got Chase Edmonds too, actually.
Tucker.
I'm probably more scared of Chase Edmonds than Shaun Tucker.
Chase Edmonds gonna start the year on IR. I'm like way too tapped in on this backfield. But Bucky Irving, really good at breaking tackles, very decisive runner. So they're installing a Sean McVay style run scheme. And coincidentally, Bucky Irving is built and very similar to Kyron Williams. So there is a little bit of that parallel, right?
I'm out.
Kieran? So there are a lot of parallels between the two runners. However, I would say, because I'm a big Bucky guy, but I would say the thing with Bucky that I'm worried about, I have no idea if he can pass protect. And we all know Sade is a tree. He's strong like bull. He's a tree back there.
You're a Rashod White slappy, dude.
Well, I haven't drafted him once this year. I can't. I'm going to keep my dynasty shares because I can't sell. But I'm going to let somebody else draft Rashod. And if it burns me because I don't have Rashod White, it is what it is. But
yeah, I'm good. He's not running back 4 again. No shot. Shot.
He could just be Joe Mixon, though, and he just like we always think he's going to get his role taken, and he's just like, he just plays every year. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like, all right, he's going to get all the touches. But I get it. If you want to make a upside play on, this guy's a really good rusher, and the Bucs actually have an improved offensive line. Like, guess they hit a home run with Graham Barton, that center they took out of Duke. So with an improved offensive line, new run scheme, Bucky's a good runner. Forced a shit ton of missed tackles last year. So like these are good things. So I think this is a good sleeper, Aidan. All in all, Keegan, are you still completely out on Bucky and just think Rashod White is just Joe Mixon and just keeps the role, or have you changed your tune a bit?
No, I'm just in on the passing game of Tampa Bay. Like I'm probably not going to touch the running game. Like I think Baker's a good late round quarterback, especially in like 2 quarterback leagues, and I really like the idea of Mike Evans, Godwin, and McMillan being kind of like the key fantasy producers here. Not out on Bucky Irving, but who knows? He could be a fab darling for me this year. We'll see.
He needs some help. Like, he needs some help, probably.
Okay, so Keegan had a chance to pick our short king, and he went with somebody who isn't 5'8" and plays wide receiver. So tell us why you went with Michael Wilson as the sleeper here.
The positive buzz
the
around the
Cardinals.
Dorchard chamber has been pretty
Absurd.
outstanding this year, but there's an Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, Michael Wilson, I feel like is getting lost in the shuffle. Like a lot of talk about Trey McBride, a lot of talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., rightfully so. But what do we know heading into the season about Michael Wilson? Last year, 8.8 fantasy points per game. Not too bad, but 6 end zone targets with 2 end zone touchdowns, 17.2% first read target share. That's with McBride and Hollywood Brown. 2.1 yards after contact per reception, which is pretty good. 26.2% of the Cardinals' air yard share, which I found pretty shocking. And then he also ran a route on 80% of the team's dropbacks last year, only behind Hollywood Brown. On the field a ton. I think he's pretty much locked in to be their wide receiver 2, aside of Marvin Harrison Jr. And some other things about Arizona, we've talked about it a lot with the Kyler stuff that we're buying into, but they were top 10 offense after the bye last year. Like Kyler Murray being healthy is so good for them. And with a full healthy season of Kyler Murray, I think Michael Wilson has an opportunity to get some more looks. Also, Zay Jones suspended for 5 games this year?
Yeah, I think it was 5.
Yeah. It's
auto. So by the time
he's autoing through wide receiver sets for sure.
Yeah, so by the time he even gets back, I don't even think that role is going to be a question of whose it is. I think it's going to belong to Michael Wilson. And some other things that shocked me, he ranked 15th in yards per target among all wide receivers as a rookie, 26th in fantasy points per target. He also ranks 6th in first downs per target. He's basically free, sometimes going undrafted in your drafts. He's going to be tied to a really good offense. He's got a locked up wide receiver 2 role with Kyler Murray. You could call him the number 3 option if you want because of Trey McBride. That's fine. But free wide receiver like this that's going to be tied to a really good offense, I'm all in on that. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, his sims are pretty solid. 8 points is his mid. 13 is his high. He's getting comped to Cortland Sutton in his.
Can you just block that first name off the list? Because that
no.
It's injuries.
We're gonna have a dialogue.
We're
having a dialogue.
Hey, it's not talent issue. It's an injury issue.
I just got PTSD from all my Traylon Burks bags for 2 years that I've had to unload.
Nightmare. Hey, you traded one to me. You've got Cortland Sutton here as a 2019 Cortland Sutton. You got 2023 Romeo Dobbs. I think you've nailed it. We just want shares of the Cardinals offense. Wilson showed enough as a rookie, and the training camp buzz has been solid. As a 49er fan, he had that crazy 2-touchdown game in week 6, and I got on the waiver wire episode and I was like, you got to go get Michael Wilson, rookies that do this. And then he just kind of face planted for the rest of the year. But he definitely is somebody that caught my eye early, and you hyped him up coming out of Stanford in the draft process. He was
there's a TikTok clip I have out there from when we were doing TikToks, me hyping up Michael Wilson heading into the draft. So it's consistency. I'm consistent on these types of players.
Aidan, are you in on Michael Wilson?
I'll be honest. I think I lean the Dorchard chamber. I'm not gonna lie.
Short King summer, baby. Short King.
I do like both of them. I'm worried that between MHJ and Trey, there might not be enough to go around for really either one of them to be, a viable fantasy player.
It's the same. They have the same.
I probably lean Dorch. Him and Kyler are best pals. It sounds like too. I think got a lot of chemistry.
It's because they see eye to eye.
Damn.
Whoa, they got a Kiki cute.
Yeah.
But, oh man, that's a throwback.
I like both though. I think Wilson was pretty impressive last year. That's pretty much the only viable wide receiver in that offense. So I wouldn't knock you for either one. I'm probably going Dorch, but I like Michael Wilson. I think his skill set and what he already did last year in a pretty fucked up offense was pretty impressive.
Just know he will be on a waiver wire episode.
Oh, for sure.
Immediately.
It sounds like we already have our week 1 waiver episode done.
This is basically just week 1 waiver episode.
This is week 1 waiver.
It was our 9 sleepers.
I'm taking my notes. My notes is 80% route participation, 18% target per route run. He had a couple end zone targets. Literally.
Ooh.
Both of them. All right, boys. This is my last sleeper. And I originally had Malik Washington with the Dolphins. Big fan of Malik Washington. If you followed our Dynasty content, I've been hammering the Malik Washington point home. I flirted with Jacob Cowing of the 49ers. But at the end of the day, the heart wants what the heart wants. And my heart tends to lead me back to Drake Maye. Somebody that I've been standing 10 toes down on. For context, me and team redraft listeners. I traded Keegan the 106 and the 108 to go up to draft Drake Maye at the 103, and then Drake Maye proceeded to fall down to the 106, 107 after he got drafted to the Patriots. And now, hey, you want people would say, hey, why don't you just go take Jaden then? You traded up. Nope, I did not trade up for Jaden. I stood 10 toes down and I took Drake Maye. Is that making me a bad GM? That's not you to decide. That's for Drake Maye to decide.
That's for the future to decide.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, this man finishes PFF's number 1 rated QB in 2022 and the number 4 in 2023. He had a nearly identical sophomore season to Caleb Williams' Heisman winning campaign in 2022. He's aggressive, mobile, and creative. He's a good post-snap processor. And I think in most drafts, he would have easily been the number 1 pick. He profiles as a future fantasy superstar with his ability to run. He's actually quite mobile. He ran for 700 yards in 2022. And basically 500 in 2023, scored 16 rushing touchdowns over the past 2 years. Like out of the gates, he's going to play in a bad offense with a bad offensive line, but he's going to be running out, making shit happen, scoring fantasy points, slinging the ball downfield. And he's somebody you can get basically for free. So I think there are going to be weeks that you have spike weeks where they don't play good teams. And Drake Maye is just an easy sleeper QB that not enough people are talking about because he has that rushing upside, along with whatever he does as a passer.
He's Justin Herbert with a Josh Allen brain.
I need to go to the bathroom. Give me a second.
That would be fun. No, I had Drake Maye Bear edits on my phone, so no, I'm a pretty firm Drake Maye believer. I think the Brissett injury pretty firmly helps him. You know, a shoulder injury in the final preseason game. Like, do you guys think there's a chance Brissett plays week 1? An injury that late in your throwing shoulder? Like, I'm guessing he's not suiting up week 1.
He's gonna get it sounds like he's getting the Tyrod Taylor. Like, it's kind of wild. He's kind of like, he didn't have someone stab him who works with the team, but
they might.
Man,
that's not off the table yet.
Man, he basically, like, it's eerily similar between Drake and Justin.
What did Gerard Mayo say? Like on 8 p.m. the night before, he said Jacoby Brissett is the best quarterback we have. And then at like 9 a.m. the next morning, he said Drake Maye is outplaying Jacoby Brissett. So
I don't get it. You can't look the players in the face and say that Jacoby's better than Drake, because by all indications at a training camp, he has not been. Drake's been far superior. I get the merit of wanting to hold him out because this offensive line is going to stink and you want to protect the rookie. But at the same time, the great ones prevail. I honestly don't think you're going to break Drake Maye. I think Drake Maye is going to figure it out. He's a smart, athletic player, and I think he's going to get there. So play him. Let him learn. And honestly, whatever Boston fans want, do the exact opposite. So Boston fans are like, you need a center. Jason Tatum's the GOAT. Whatever they're saying, just do the exact opposite.
Jason Tatum stray wild.
That was crazy, but I'm here for it.
Do you think Drake Maye is fantasy relevant at all this year, guys?
Yeah.
Define relevant.
He scores over 20 points in four different games.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. Their wide receiver corps is so lack of words fucking bad.
He's going to run, though, to your point. Like, he's already had
he's going to run for his life.
I think that's
no bias. Sorry, my bias is entering the room. My bias is entering the room with us.
Is in the room with us?
Step away from this.
This is a guy. Look at this. Look at this chin. That's a chin that scores 20 fantasy points 4+ times in a season, guys.
It pains me. Look, I was also a big believer of Drake Maye, like in the pre-draft process. Like, I think he was my quarterback too throughout the whole way. I think he's a better quarterback than Jaden, but he just happens to play in my least favorite fucking organization in the entire world. So I'll step aside from this combo.
The bias is leaving the room. The bias is leaving the room.
I mean, you hate Josh, but you respect Josh. Your Tua hate is like almost Brian Flores level, and
More.
we'll see where the Drake relationship ends up.
Yeah, we'll see. This is a new Keegan walking into the podcast right now. So, we're talking about Drake Maye? Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good this year.
He's back. He's back.
All right, bring us home with everyone's favorite Lisfranc injury player who makes
don't
me want
say
to
that.
cry every year.
You don't say that, all right? He's a full year removed. You know who we're talking about. I won't quit you, Rashod
One
Bateman.
more time.
I will not quit you. Honestly, there's only a couple things to talk about here. First of all, he's a clear-cut number 2 in that offense. Like Nelson Aguilar is not pushing this guy for snaps. That's not happening. Him and Zay Flowers. The big playability from Rashod Bateman is pretty exciting. Like what he was starting to do in 2022 was so cool. Like it really felt like he was on his way to the moon. That Miami game, that was, the Vince McMahon, like he was special. Those first couple of games were so cool. And then
immediately hurt his foot.
And then the foot injury immediately. But that's what happens when you run a 4.40 and you're just blazing speed. Like that's our guy Rashod. I like him though. I think he's a fun flyer pick. Again, like there's no real competition against him as a wide receiver too. You've got Tez Walker, but let's be real. That's probably going to take some time. There really hasn't been a whole lot of positive vibes around him. And yeah, we've got like another full year removed from the Lisfranc. So my guy's feeling healthy, feeling fast, and ready to catch 10 touchdowns from Lamar Jackson this year.
That would be crazy. I feel like every year for the past 2 years, Rashod Bateman has been on my bench, and then I just watched the dream die right in front of my eyes. But who knows? Maybe this is the year.
Probably not, but it's fun to talk about.
Dude, I see these names. Like, if he had a 2022 Darius Slayton season, that'd be so sick.
That'd be huge. That would be pretty big for him.
If he had the Kendrick Bourne year last year, that'd be nuts. Man,
he's just gonna stay healthy, man. He's a special player, but he just can't stay on the freaking field.
Ooh, it's bleak.
I've got
his top comps are
stop scrolling.
Van Jefferson. These are his ceiling outcase. These are his ceiling outcomes, guys. Darius Slayton, Kendrick Bourne, MVS, Michael Gallup, Van Jefferson. These are all like the best ones.
He could do that.
Jacoby. Okay, there we go. Jacoby Myers. That's a good player.
Here we go.
Oh, no, and Joshy. Joshy boy. Joshy Palms. Okay, I'm in. If he's can do it.
Yeah. That was it. That's all it took. One Josh Palmer sign in the Sims, and you're in.
He's basically has the same range of outcomes as Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. So it's pretty pretty fair to have him in this.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, I think I've just gotten my heart hurt by him. It's like the guy who was commenting. I forget his name, so apologize if you're watching this. But the guy who commented on Kyler burning him 1 year in fantasy, he's like, now I'll never draft him. Like everybody has those players. Everybody drafts someone, gets burned by them. Maybe it's multiple times. Maybe it's Bateman 2 years in a row, and you got to quit eventually.
If you get burned twice, that's a fair never return. Once, no, I'm totally going back in for more.
But Aidan loves hitting up his exes. He's just always what you up to?
You up? It's Rashod Bateman.
Sup, big head.
You healthy?
How's the
foot feeling, buddy?
How's the foot?
Talk to me, Shaun.
Your Lisfranc injury makes me feel like I wasn't quite frank enough with my feelings towards you.
Somebody's seen the new Alien movie with all these dad jokes.
Oh, that's good. But that was a good list. I actually think there's some good sleepers in here. This will most definitely be exactly what our week 1 waiver episode will be. So I'm excited to talk about these guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks with almost half this list on our waiver episode.
Tucker Kraft's going to be headlining that episode too. You know it. We should make a guess on who the waiver wire guys are going to be to start. But I like it.
I'm into that.
I like it. All right, boys. This was a good episode. We're deliriously tired. I feel like I'm in a fantasy football sweatshop making the content for the mean team, but we don't take days off. We got to get these sleepers out to the masses.
They need them. They need them.
You need to peddle Michael Wilson shares to the people.
If I I was gonna quote Mindy Kaling in
That's what I
This Is
thought
the
you were
End,
gonna
the
say.
Michael Cera quote.
You're crazy.
I'm gonna blow my brains out if I can't talk about Taysom Hill. All right, boys. This was a blast as always, and thank you, everybody. Until next time.